In this video, we're going to be breaking down the SPL-based simulation modes inside of Fulcrum One, direct sound and total SPL. You're going to learn what each mode calculates, how they differ, and when to use them during your loudspeaker design process. In this project file, I have a loudspeaker array of CC boxes set up, as well as a room model imported, and I've also applied some acoustic parameters to the room. Now let's start with direct sound specifically. Direct sound is essentially the measure of all the loudspeakers at any given point in the room or at a probe without the influence of the room itself. Because of this becomes your baseline when you're designing your loudspeaker system, especially when you're looking at aiming and coverage uniformity. So let's take a look at what we have here, and we'll go ahead and lay out this loudspeaker. For right now, I put this loudspeaker right in the center, and you can see as I click the array, I can actually move it around and in real time see the direct sound energy changing. Now we'll put it over here on the side and we'll bring it down just a little bit. There we go. All right, great. We have that set up there, and I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this on the Y coordinate, and now I have two set up. You can see when we're in direct sound, the mapping engine is working really fast to recalculate those. That's why this is also ideal for room coverage mapping and checking your aiming and making sure everything seems uniform. Let's go ahead and open up the probes window too, just to see what we can see there. So down at the bottom right-hand corner, I click the probes icon, and our first tab here is linked to what we're seeing in the mapping view. If you haven't checked out our probes video, I highly recommend you do that just to get familiarized with how probes work. But you can see here, I've already laid out a couple probes in front of that array 1, and I'm seeing the coverage map there, and this frequency response is showing us that direct sound energy. As I move the boxes around, I can see that the probe's response is changing based on that information. One thing worth noting is that direct sound isn't calculating in a vacuum. While it doesn't include the acoustics of your environment, it does take into account the air loss and propagation delay that comes from temperature and humidity. Now, let's dive into total SPL. In here, I just simply got to change the mapping mode at the top by clicking on the direct sound and switching over to Total SPL. Now you can see my map is a lot different. Total SPL combines direct sound with the reverberant contribution from the room based on the loudspeaker design. Now, it's exactly what the listener would hear if they were sitting at any given point in the room or if you're looking at the probes themselves. It's worth noting that Total SPL doesn't take into account noise level, so something like an HVAC or crowd noise that you defined in the environment's ambient noise settings isn't included here. It's just the loudspeaker and the contributions from the room based on the loudspeaker design. So when we look at this map and we compare it, we can see that we're riding right around 76.2 total dB SPL of Total SPL across the room. And we can see here that our probes are a little bit smoothed out in this mode. When we switch back to direct sound, we can see they space out a little bit. That's the difference between us only looking at the direct energy of the loudspeakers versus including the reverberant field of the room. Now, it's worth noting that the reverberant field in Total SPL is based on a statistically diffused field, meaning we're not taking the room geometry and calculating it based on ray tracing. This is pretty common practice for mapping calculations like this. As we look at this map and we switch back and forth between the two modes, you can see that the change is a little bit drastic when it comes to the probes. The change would be more drastic the more reverberant the room is. And the less reverberant the room is, Total SPL and Direct SPL will start aligning closer together. That's why Total SPL is the mode you want to use to verify the maximum output that your system is going to give in the installed environment. Direct sound lets you verify whether your aiming and your coverage is right, and Total SPL lets you ensure that the design is going to deliver the output that you want when it's there. If you'd like any more information on our mapping modes, please check out our support site at support.fulcrum-acoustic.com.